right, good afternoon. Happy Monday to everybody. This is another edition of the E29 Journeys podcast. I got to work on that name. I originally started with baseball, but now fortunately I am branching out and trying to bring in not only personal friends of mine, but people that I think will help motivate and inspire other people, because they've done so many things in their own line of business, and they've done things their own way, and they've been creative, and they've motivated people through their medium of employment. So as always, I want to start by thanking my sponsors. I want to thank Chihuahua Cerveza. They are in Newport Beach and now all across the country. So if you're in Newport, stop by the tap room and you can try some of their fine beverages. Also very, very good food and a good atmosphere. I think you'll really enjoy it. Also want to thank the boys at 100% Media. The guys that do all of our editing, our videography, make sure we sound good, make sure that we get everything on tape that we need. And also Adam Schwartz of Resilient Real Estate. Adam is a local Riverside agent. He also services all of Southern California. And if you're looking for anything in the way of real estate or homes or building homes, even podcasts, blogs, Adam is involved in everything. So look him up on Instagram, look him up on Facebook. Just reach out and say hi. He's definitely got some motivation. He's got some things that he can do to help you. And along that note, I want to introduce my guest today. I'm very pumped because, again, it's another personal friend of mine. And Mike Betancourth is one of the gentlemen that whenever I'm around him, he always puts off a good vibe, very positive, nonstop. And if you follow him on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and I'll let him introduce some more of the places you can find him. He's always got good information, whether you're just looking to kind of jumpstart your own business, if you're looking to grow, if you're looking to expand your financial horizons. He's a good guy to talk to. Lots of information, and no matter what you take from it, you're always going to walk away motivated. So, Mike, thanks for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate you, my man. It's very nice of you. It's an honor to be here, and I thank God for the things that have happened in my life. Right, so we've helped a lot of people, and that's probably our biggest factor, is helping people.
Yeah, and I found more. I think that's, as we grow, that's kind of what life's all about. We can do certain things for ourselves, but I think ultimately, even if you're someone that goes home and you don't make a lot of money, you can feel good about the fact that you did something to contribute to society. You did something to help somebody else, even if they can take things farther than you ever did.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest mistakes we make is thinking we need a lot of money to make a difference. And you can make a difference just by being kind to someone, helping someone. And, we're talking about to our youth yesterday, and we're just saying, look, it's a decision whether you want to stay where you're at or not and go make a difference in someone's life. That's where really a lot of the peace and happiness comes from. You find you go do something nice for someone, it changes your life. Now you can take it obviously to next levels by increasing your ability or your platform to do that. So whether you do it through business, whether you at your job help someone there, or whether through sports like I love, right? It's something that you can make a difference.
I can tell you, it's like right now I'm looking at you, and it's hard not to smile. Like I said, I have so much love for you and your brother, and it's just funny because when I've been able to do this lately, it is a little self-serving, because when do we ever get a chance to sit down and talk? And talking to everybody that I've had in, we think about the time that we're in, and we talked a little bit about COVID at the beginning, and it is very tragic, and there's been a lot of people that have suffered greatly through it, but there's always some type of positive that can come out of every adversity. And so for me, I can say, it's given me more time and to reflect and to think about sharing time with people I enjoy being with. And so being able to have coaches in and players in and guys that we just don't sit and chat with anymore. And I think that's something that I have learned to realize, that I really miss that part of not necessarily my job, but just in general. And so, when you walked in, it was funny because automatically I smiled. We don't get together that much, but just, every time I see you, I think about times I've been with you and your brother and just talking. And you're one of those guys that every time I've seen you, you've always been positive. I've never seen you down. I've never seen you angry. I've never seen you without a smile on your face.
Well, again, I tell you, it has a lot to do with my faith, right? As a Christian, I understand there's certain things that I can control and things I don't. Sure. Things I can, I try to do. But at the end of the day, it's also looking at life as just as a gift. You know, I think when you have people in your life you love and they leave you, or they, for example, pass away, you start understanding, wow, you know, we got a little short time in this world.
Sure.
How much of that do we want to be, you know, give to be negative, or to thinking about things that could happen that most times don't happen, right? So there's something I learned a long time ago, that everybody has a invisible sign on their chest that says, make me feel special. And a lot of times we forget that we're not the only ones going through things, that other people are. And when you take the time to actually ask people how they're doing, build a relationship, not just an association, but really a friend. Sure. You start to learn a lot from them, and also a way to inspire them. You know, as you try to inspire other people, it helps yourself stay fired up. Now, I got my days where you have your moments, of course. I'm human, right? You get frustrated. Yeah. But it's good to know that, you know, that's not where you stay. It's just a moment in life, but you don't let these little things determine the rest of your life. Yeah. So it's just a matter of, when I come in here, I was excited. I said, well, you know, who knows what the heck we're going to be talking about today, right? Yeah. But I know that God works in mysterious ways. And at the same time, if we're here with the heart to help each other out, it always goes good. Yeah. And I think, like I talked to you before, you know, there's certain guests that I come in that we've got a lot of history together, and there really isn't a direction. It's just as if we're sitting down talking. And, you know, I know, like I'd mentioned before, every time I've had a conversation with you, I've always walked away with something positive that's kind of stuck in the back of my head. And that's something that I kind of want to let you kind of put through on the camera, because I know, you know, you do a lot of positive things. I see you involved in a lot of things, and I know you're at heart, you're pure, and you want to help people. So I want that to come through in the interview. So I'm just going to we'll just chat, and you know, whatever comes out. Where do you go? Where do you start? Yeah, there's so many places, but I mean, I want you to kind of throw that positivity out for anybody that's watching. Well, you know what? It's in my life, it's always been three things: faith, family, and business. Right? It's you know my family, where I come from. I come from a father who's a pastor, my mom who we're still scared of today. You know, we love her, but we came from two people who were raised in a family where it was all about helping people and being there for others. And as a father, the way we have, I just want to, you know, he's no longer here. We miss him, but he left a legacy of love and being humble, and being able to understand that it's not just about you, it's about what you can do for other people. So every time he came home, it was always a smile on his face. Yeah. You never knew how hard he worked, but he busted it. Sure. And so he always told us, hey, you want anything in life, you got to go after it, right? And you got to do it. There's a difference between going through a wall with or without a smile. I was like, man. So I remember it's like, sometimes it feels like you're going through walls in life and it doesn't feel good, but there's a difference in how you change your attitude as you go through it. Because when you change your attitude as you go through tough times, you learn from the times as opposed to complain through the times. And so for me, it's been like, okay, it started off as a you know, like anybody going to sports. You know, I played, you know, I was really a soccer player more, and a little bit of baseball, and ended up being a football player. And then being a kicker, you learn real fast. You better be able to make the job happen. Sure. So I love those do or die incidents where you either make it or you don't. Sure. And the way you're able to deliver in those do or die moments is what you do off the field and what you do when no one's watching. Who are you becoming? And those are those times that are going to prepare you for the times in life that come, whether good or bad, for you to perform. So for me, it's always been, okay, well, we're either getting better or getting worse. Yeah. Right? So when it comes to my life, it's simple. It's faith, family, business. Number one, I'm not going to stop serving the Lord somehow, because my dad did it till the day he passed. Number two, my family, I got to be the leader for my family. I lead from the front, and I control the mood of my house, whether my marriage and my children. And then number three, that goes into my business. I'm not a different guy at business than I am, whether it be my, you know, I did another podcast the other day, and I said, as the church, we don't go to a building for church. We are the church, and we take the church everywhere we go. So we're supposed to be a certain way all the time, because that's who you really are. So, you know, for me, it's always been, okay, well, if I can't do it in sports anymore, what I used to, how can I be an athlete in everything I do? So I took a lot from my past into this. I knew that if you want to be the best at anything, you have to be busting it when no one's watching. And again, you are who you are when no one's watching. So you can fake it to other people for a little while, but in the end, it comes out. Sure. And it usually comes out through a storm of life if you're really able to really perform the way you're supposed to. And it's not so much, I don't say perform to say like an act, but just who are you becoming on the inside? And that's what really comes through when the tough times come, because you notice people are always looking for someone to hold on to, or someone to inspire them, or someone to push them to get better. And I just want to be that person. So, and growing up in a family with a pastor, my dad always gave us the choice to do whatever we wanted. You know, he chose Jesus Christ as who he's going to follow, but he said, it's up to you. This is who I'm going to follow. It's up to you. And he challenged us. So he always gave a good example. So I started as a youth leader at my church, and then started playing the drums with him. And then I remember my dad telling me, hey, I need help with the youth back then. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. Right? I was like, I'm not ready, man. I'm kind of crazy youth myself. He's like, I know. He says, why don't you do it until I find somebody to do it? You know, that was a way of him getting you started.
Right.
13 years later, I'm still doing it. Became an assistant pastor of the church, and never thought that he would then pass away and then have me step up and be the pastor of the church. Right. So you're never really ready to take the next step, right? But you are, what you're doing is you're preparing through little things in life, as far as like, whether it be, you know, having that courage to take the next step. You're never ready. You just do it, and you learn more through going through it, as opposed to supposedly getting ready for the moment.
Right. So let me ask you, because that was one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about too. You mentioned that your father being the pastor and you being involved in the church, and then me knowing on the background everything that you've got going on the business side. And when your father passed, it would have been really easy to just kind of let his work go to the wayside.
That's right.
And one of the things I thought was so cool is like you didn't do that. You know, and you know, from building a business and you know, him building his church, how much work went into that. And no matter how big or how small, everyone has something that they have a passion for and they're trying to build. And so for him, when that stopped for him, for you to step up as his son and take the lead role on that, how was that for you?
It was scary at the beginning. I remember taking him to the hospital, and I'm saying, like, Dad, and he told me, you know, you're going to have to take over. And I said, man, this is crazy, right? I mean, we got babies at home. I got a business to run, things like that. And it was easier for me just to kind of show up to church and help, but not actually run things. Right. And so he says, I remember him telling me in the car, he says, son, I'm like, what am I supposed to do, Dad? He goes, it's easy, right? You know what I'm saying? But he said something at one point, and I want, maybe you can take it with you here today, that he says, look, we all strive to look good in front of people. He said, but you don't understand is if you show up and just love people and do it for the grace of God, do it for his glory, and do your best to treat people with love, everything works itself out. And I said, you know what? Maybe as a youth leader, I was preparing. I didn't know, but God had a plan. He was preparing me to start with the youth and then go to adults and take over. But what I didn't understand, and now I do, is that I was already 12 years in business, or about 11 years in business, as a broker and running my own offices and all that. I was already in the business of a volunteer army. See, all my agents were 1099. Right. So I got to teach them how to become independent contractors, how to build business, how to produce, how to do all that, and become leaders in the business. Well, guess what our job was in the church? As people come in, what are we doing? The same exact thing. Follow the word of God, become, start applying it to your life, start becoming leaders, and then eventually get started and actually start being a leader. So the things that I learned in my business, I was already applying in the church. It was just for real now. And, you know, I couldn't let that legacy of my father, how much he loved the Lord, how much he loved people, just go down. There's just something inside of me that says, you know, you've been preparing for this your whole life. And my dad told me, he's like, you know, God's been calling you to be a pastor. I said, I know, but I just been kind of denying it. He says, you already know what to do, right? You already know what to do. Just do it. He says, as a matter of fact, here's the secret. Show up. He says, as long as you show up every day, God takes over. See, we didn't know how to do the production. The first day we went online, Ernie, we didn't. I pushed play, went live, and just roll with it. And then he's like, how much do you practice to do that? How many did you guys, take, how many takes do you do? I'm like, takes? Like, what are you talking about, man? It's real life. We just go live and we speak and we do. And that's what it is. It was, my dad said it's always love over doctrine of the Bible. So I always knew that you got to come in to love people and also, but of course, know your word and preach the word of God. And so he said something to me before he passed away. He says, he told me, please, 4 times. Please, 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 please. Don't give up. don't give up on the people. Don't give up on God's people. I'm not here, but God has prepared you. He says, don't ever give up. Don't give up on your family. Don't give up on. I told Dad, should I get rid of the business? He says, absolutely not. He says, your God gave you that business. And he says something to me, he's like, God gave you that business, and you're nobody, so nobody else is your boss for the rest of your life. Right?
Yeah.
And so he says, keep your business going, because they're both going to make you better as a leader. And that's exactly what we did. And Ernie, here we are. We're going into year 4 in church. And thank God it's grown.
Yeah.
We had to make some certain changes that just happened. I'll tell you here about it. But I feel like, okay, it was a Spanish church, so how do I get up on Sunday? And I barely speak Spanish. How am I going to preach on Sunday Spanish? So put that in the mix.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so amazing to it for me, because we talked a little bit before we started rolling about how just the generation we're in with the social media and the live video and how you can extend out and reach so many more people in just your business. But that has actually kind of created a situation where you can take your father's dream and make it grow.
That's right.
Not only your business, but your father, and in his honor, and out of respect for him, and out of wanting to keep what he built alive, you can take that even bigger than probably he even imagined.
That's right.
Just because of the situation and the opportunities you have.
That's funny you say that, because when I started my business 15 years ago, in business, some of the successful people tell you got to have a reason, you got to have a why. So when the tough times come, you remember your whys in business and why you're doing it, because you're not always going to have a sunny day in business.
Sure.
Right? Sometimes you're going to feel like quitting. Sometimes you're going to be like, man, I got $0 in the bank. You learn how to make $5 really extend over a week.
Yeah.
But I remember having a why. Well, one of my whys was my father. My parents, I always wanted to retire them. I always wanted to help build them a church. Because, see, they always rented another church building or another place because they didn't have enough money as a church to build their own building, right? So we always rented from another facility. So I remember I put that down on a piece of paper and I read it all the time. I said, I'm going to retire my parents. And I'm going to build my dad a church one day, right? When the tough times came, I just looked at that all the time. I said, well, this little incident's not more important than what I'm doing this for. And sometimes it's something greater than you that you have to hold on to. And that's exactly what happened. See, right before he passed, he said, you know what? And it's funny you say that right now, because he says, son, I know you're going to take it to a level I could have never imagined, and you're going to reach thousands of people. And I was like, what are you talking about? We got a small little got a small little place here in Mobile, right? That's where our church is out of. The church is called the House of the Lord, La Casa del Señor, right? It was in Moreno Valley. We're running a little church there, a great pastor there, a great man, Pastor Harold. But he told me, you're going to take this to a whole new level I could have never dreamed. And this is before all this stuff happened. Yeah. Well, now look, we ended up opening up a second service for English now. So now we have a Spanish and English service. Yeah. All my youth that I used to teach before are coming back. Social media is now taking it to the next level. We're reaching people in different countries. Yeah. Multiple countries right now. And it's funny because, the other day, one of our ladies from our church says, hey, my cousin's watching the footage today. I was like, great, tell her we said hi, right? She was like, no, you don't understand. He's already for 5 weeks, she's getting all the people from her little village, because she's the only one with a TV and internet, to come to her house. And the other day they had like 22 people come to her house and they watching on a little film. She's like, so I don't know if you know this or not, but you see my name there, but you're talking to 25 people here. And guess where they're at, right? Honduras. Yeah. Another one in Mexico, Guatemala, right? El Salvador, different places, right? So here I am thinking, right? We have this little church here in Moreno Valley, but social media's taken it, brother. Beyond the walls, like we could never imagine. So that's why I said, it's not you who's going to take it to the next level. It's you being used by God. As long as you allow yourself to take that step of courage, even when you don't have confidence, because that's what you do. You use courage when you don't have confidence. Yeah. You step up anyways, you show up anyways, you'd be amazing, right? How many times you step up to the plate, you didn't have confidence?
Too many, that's why I do what I do.
Right? But that's exactly it. You show up anyways and you follow your training, and having that why, that reason why is very important, because he's no longer here. But through his passing and through the financial planning that we did, well, here's what I didn't know. All that financial planning would then come into play, right? all the life insurance, the retirement stuff, the estate planning that we did for him 10 years prior would come and take care of my mom for the rest of her life. And then we were able to now, through the help of God, keep the church going. We just moved the church to my office.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I have all the video and everything ready to go there. And the church, although I always tell people, it's a small little church with a lot of fire and a big heart to serve the Lord. And it's doing that right now. And I believe it's going to take it to places that we never thought about, because it's all to bring glory to him, not to my own name. And I just never want to let my dad down. So my mom shows up every day. And now she's like, she cries. I'm like, why are you crying? She goes, it's just great to see. I wish your father can see this. I said, well, Dad already saw it. If he didn't see it back then, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. That's amazing. And like I said, that one, just watching you on the Instagram and Facebook and watching and following, that was what I was thinking about. I was thinking, for you and knowing your motivation and knowing how, not only did you take over for your dad, but I know you enough to know you're not going to do it just and go through the motions. You were going to do it and try to make it bigger and more to serve him and to honor and everything that you want it to be. You're not going to go halfway in. No. So I kind of already knew when I saw this. I'm like, hey, he's more and more and more involved than just taking it over and kind of putting in the time. You're actually really, really working at this like you do a business, like you would do anything else in your life. And so I was always kind of proud and curious, because I know, hearing your brother talk about your dad's church, now seeing you take that, and I thought, well, how really cool is that? Just to, from the standpoint I was looking at, I was like, man, this is going to really, really take off. I wonder if he knows that.
Well, the way it takes off, we'll give it to God, right? But it was like, why would I give it everything I got in my business and then do a half job at the church? Yeah. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. I was telling a story yesterday, because we had just yesterday at church. It was the single life. My preaching was on the single life, and we titled it "Living for an Audience of One." How much are we distracted right now with social media and everybody trying to become famous or do something right? And because the world's pushing us to build a brand or do something, which is great, right? Sure. I mean, for different things, of course. But I had a great coach at APU. I was kicking for APU, and my coach, Peter Shinnick, great man. Beginning of the season, he said this. He's like, we're going to be very clear here. There's no cursing on this team, and everything we do here, we're going to do for the glory of God. He says, I'm a real Christian coach, not just a coach who says he's a Christian. I remember that. Right? I'll never forget that. He says, and I don't know where you guys come from, but in this team, we're going to honor God first before above all things. He came up with a phrase called play for an audience of one. He says there's a lot of people you're playing for, but there should be one you're always playing for no matter what you do in life. And whether it was sports or anything else, he said, there's going to be people in the crowd cheering for you and booing for you. It doesn't matter. There's people on the sidelines cheer for you, but you got to decide who you're going to max out for the rest of your life. I never forgot that. So for him being that audience of one above the crowd in the world, once you decide, I'm just going to give it my best for the Lord in everything I do. The Bible says that if you let the Lord, right, take over your plans, if you give your plans to the Lord, your plans will succeed. So in 1 Corinthians 10:31 is whether you eat or drink or all that you do it all for the glory of God, right? Well, when I kicked footballs, guess what I did? Yeah. Right? I kicked that sucker as hard as I could. Sure. Right? Even when I kicked PATs, the guy that would go pick up my ball would be so mad. He's like, dude, why you got to kick it so hard? It went into the parking lot. Yeah. Can you stop doing that? I said, brother, look, I love you, man, and I'm sorry you got to go get the ball. I said, but let me tell you right now, you might as well just go to the parking lot, right, and just be there, because I'm going to kick a PAT the same way I kick a 55-yard field goal. Because it's what? You have to make a decision that everything you do, you're going to do it with all your heart. And so that carried on into what? In the way that I try to do my marriage, try to do my family, and in the church, that's exactly what it is. It was like, I'm not trying to please the people, because you're always going to there's a great saying out there that says, I don't know where the recipe for success is, but I know the recipe for failure. Try to make everyone happy. Right. And so for me, when I took over as a church, I was like, okay, well, what can I do? What do I know? And then how can I max that out? How can I be better and better and better? And think about it, just a year before my dad told me to pick up the guitar and learn how to play the guitar. So I started learning the guitar, little I know, and have to really put it to use a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So could we do the church better, Ernie? Yes. Can I do production better? Can I do a lot? Yes. But for the capacity that I know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get everything we got. And that's why when I show up to church, it was like, my job is to put together a sermon. God has called us, obviously, in different areas, different ministries.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to tell you, I mean, whatever you do, there's always that little bit of fear,
Mm-hmm.
and that's normal.
Yeah.
Just know that it's there and just say, cool, I see the fear, I see the doubt, I'm going to move forward anyways, right? And there's a difference between, people say just getting over it or moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Getting over it, you learn nothing from it, but moving forward, you're ready to also take the hits. There's always going to be that fear and that doubt.
Mm-hmm.
My goal for you, and like today, is to really trust the Lord. It's even on my license plate, Proverbs 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's on my license plate. That whole chapter, if you go take a look at it, Proverbs 3, look at that whole chapter has to do a lot with my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it always starts with trusting God, man, and just moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. And like I said, just when I saw you with the guitar, that's the one thing too I thought about. That's funny you mentioned it, because I was thinking I didn't know you knew how to play, but I thought maybe being around and helping out, you probably had done that before. But yeah, it's just an amazing story. And like I said, it's always inspiring. And for me, I know a little bit about it, but watching it kind of unfold as I go, I think it's really amazing. And I'm excited to see where you're going to go with this, because it opens up a whole different, not necessarily a different part of you, but it gives you a different type of creativity, and I think sometimes, and you might agree with me, we always need to be challenged.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be a different challenge for you. And honestly, I've always been, this is probably the 10th time I've said this already, but you have a very motivational personality. And I think that is going to come through a lot. And I think that's going to help, because you can feel your passion when you're talking. Yeah. You can see it in your eyes, and it comes across. When I've watched some of your live, and I'm thinking, man, this is great. This is probably more what he was meant to do. You can see it come through.
Yeah. Well, there's very few people who are inspiring other people to do something more.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to just sit back and let other people do things, but man, what an honor it is to go out there and go mess it up, man.
Yeah.
There's a story in the Bible by, we all know that, you're familiar with King David, right?
Mm-hmm.
David and Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
We all know the story.
Right.
But the whole army was frozen with fear, because fear paralyzes you.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you forget who you are and what God put you to do here. And we focus more on fear. Guess what? You find yourself, when you're in fear, you're not moving.
All right.
But David focused on who he represented and who had his back.
Mm-hmm.
And as he rushed forward and obviously took care of that giant, God had his back. He just showed up that day.
Yeah.
Right? So, but that one act of courage inspired millions to now rush and defeat that army.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I just want you, think about that. It's, if I can be one of those people in this world before God takes me home to move forward, no matter what, and that can inspire other people to also move forward, I think we've done our job.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know how far of reach it's going to go. It's actually not our job.
Right.
Right? But, there's a saying, there's the wind blows on everyone. It's up to us how we adjust the sail.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why most people think, well, look what happened to me. Look what happened this. Look at all this stuff that's happened. And by the way, it's tough. Things happen. But if you begin to look at things instead of like saying, look what happened to me, but look what happened for me. What can I learn from this? What can I do to adjust my sail to now help this move me forward?
Right.
Okay, I lost my business because of COVID. Okay, cool. How'd you done it better, right? There's a great saying, ask God for forgiveness, but then don't forget to forgive yourself too after. Right? Because he forgives us, but then we go and this is that he throws our iniquities in the lake of forgetfulness, and then he puts no fishing allowed, right? But we go back and go fish up our own old stuff
right
when it's time to move forward.
Yeah.
And so, picking up that guitar that day, right? In the beginning, I wanted to melt, bro. Like I wanted to, I was like, I can't believe this is going on.
Yeah.
But then I remember what I told myself in kicking. Every field goal, I go up there, I'm like, act like, hey, you've done this a million times. It's just done one more time. All right? Do what you know how to do. Right? Do what you know how to do. And that's what I did. Every time I show up, I was like I've done a million times, let's go do it again. Let's go do it again. And put my mindset as if I was used to doing it instead of this is my first time, I don't know what to do. One thing I never say is I never say I'm nervous. Hey guys, I'm a little nervous, right? I got rid of that. I got rid of those words that put your mindset in a negative position. Instead, I say things and I replace those with things that put yourself in a positive position. For example, ready? Fired up, dude. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Fired up, right? Right? I'm awesome. Fired up. I'm champion. Let's go. Right? No one else is going to do it. Might as well be me.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and by the way, you don't do it by yourself. You have to understand you have to have a good team behind you and a team with you. My wife is an amazing person. See, I don't know if you saw her, but she just started singing with me, right?
Yeah, that was my next question because I saw your boys on there too.
Yeah. And get them involved because they see daddy doing it. Well, then guess what? They believe they can do it.
Yeah.
My wife started singing with me, and also I have other team that you don't see on camera that help me. Right? Put all this together. Some of my ushers and some of the guys that help me put everything together. It's not a one-man band.
Right.
And for many years, coming from sports as a kicker, you thought it's a one-man band. You got to make it happen, right? But you can't be where you're at without the help of a team. And so that circle of people around you are going to influence the man you become or woman you become and the one you can become as well. You got to have people who are maybe a little bit more successful than you and also doing more than you that push you. Because you're hanging out with people who tell you to slow down or, man, take it easy, right? You never did anything great taking it easy, huh?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, even this right here. When I saw you were doing this, I was excited for you. I was like, look at her, let's go, right? But that was like, okay. And I remember watching these shows, and I'm like, this is great. Some of the questions, some of the people have been in on here, a bunch of coaches and players have been in here. I love what they talk about. But this is, like I said, it's a place where you come to a point in your life to where it's time for you to fly. And a lot of people have a lot of goals and dreams inside of them, but they worry more about what maybe other people are going to think. And you know where the richest place in the world is, Ernie? The graveyard. So many people go to their graves with big goals and dreams inside of them, right? And are buried there because they never tried.
Right.
I'm like, man, let's go, right? So if I can tell anybody watching this here today that you got an idea, you got a goal, you got something you want to go do for the Lord, just go do it, right? Just go do it. You'd be surprised how close you are to doing something great, right? And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I just show up, dude. I'm just a simple dude like everyone. But yes, it's you can't give from an empty cup. I'm reading my books every day. I listen to books, right? But I'm around people that also push me to get better. So, I mean, when it comes to sports, right? You notice you got better when you were hanging out with better players?
Sure.
How much does a coach play and influence people's lives? Right?
A lot, yeah.
So it's just push yourself every year to be around people who are going to make you better. And usually those people who you're uncomfortable being around. Right?
Yeah.
And so there's, I told my youth one thing, you got to have one arm going up and one arm going down. Holding on to people who are making you better, but always be willing to reach down and be pulling people up at the same time. We're all a part of a big chain that God has created over a history of years. And how nice would it be that he opens up the books one day in heaven and you just had one little part of the chapter of the book of the history of the world. And because of what you did, it led to this, it led to this, it led to that. I look at it that way. Maybe it's big, but might as well dream big.
Yeah. And it makes sense. That it's something that I know that a lot of people talk about, and we were talking before again we went on, but you were being inspirational and motivational before COVID. And so, like you had mentioned, a lot of people are looking at this, and this has kind of become the theme for today. It was a very tragic situation. A lot of negative things happened to people in their personal lives, and businesses lost and lives lost. But again, I'm not the strongest of faith. I'll be honest and say that. But I know that I've always tried to look at things and say, I can't always control what happens, and I know that. And still, we're human. Even the best of us try to. But there's got to be something that we can all learn from this. And I looked at it as, instead of everyone on the planet getting an individual lesson, it was decided that we're all going to get a lesson at the same time.
Well said, dude.
Because it's easier for me to just teach everybody that things are going to change. We have to make corrections. We have to be better,
right,
just in general. And, maybe it's coming from my 50-something years, and someone in their 30s may not understand it because they haven't lived through a lot of negativity or things like that. And not that everybody has to, but, this is a way for everyone to look and go, wow, I really need to reevaluate everything, from my business to my personal life to how I treat people to how I interact with everybody, because this is something that didn't segregate. It didn't say we're only going to affect this group of people. It affected everybody.
That's right.
So everyone had to stop and take a look and reevaluate. And I think that's going to end up being a good thing for everybody.
Well said, brother. I mean, sometimes people say that they only want good things to happen, right? But we don't understand a lot of good comes out of bad.
Sure.
It tests us who we are. It tests our faith.
Yeah.
Right? Our resilience. One thing we did learn this year is not so much how to stop, but how to pivot. And that's one thing you have to learn, that word pivot.
Yeah.
Things don't go your way. How do we pivot and keep moving forward? Go this way and keep moving forward. But yeah, it does. Like you said, it's great. God kind of said it was like a lesson throughout the whole world, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's in a different position. I'm saddened. We actually had some people from our church pass away from it. My grandma passed away, right, this last year. And but here's where it comes down to. I think it comes down to, it takes us back again to the Word. The Word of God tells us this life is a vapor. It's here for a little while, and then it's what?
Gone.
And it's gone. So first of all, number one, right, where's our relationship with God? All right, if you believe there is a God, do you believe that there's an afterlife? Where are you going to go after? Bible says there's a heaven and a hell, right? And those who put their faith in Jesus will go to heaven, right? And those who want nothing to do with him will go to hell. That's what the Bible says, right? And so first things first, I tell people, look, first you got to get a relationship with that which is much greater than you, which is God. The Bible says it's Jesus Christ. So God has to do with the center of us, our heart, our soul, where we make decisions, where we decide to move forward or not, right? So if that's weak, well, how do we expect to ever make better decisions next time things come around,
Sure.
right? And as we look at life, we're like, okay, well, life is, we start to understand life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. So you take it in your walk with faith, you say, okay, well, how do I react to this situation in my life? Am I reacting based on what the Word says, or am I still doing whatever I want? And that's where you keep getting into trouble.
Yeah.
Number two, your marriage is not where you want it to be. Think about to yourself, well, how many times have I reacted in a certain way when it's time for me to maybe be a little bit better, right? With your children, how are you reacting to certain situations, right? And in your business, through this whole business aspect, and a lot of people closed down their businesses and went through a very tough time. Well, you have to think about this now. If are you a certain man in business or woman in business, or are you an entrepreneur who's willing to think outside the box? This pandemic kind of showed what businesses are going to be needed for the next 21st century, right?
Yeah.
What's going to be lucrative? What's going to be able to sustain? What's going to be able to be around long term if you're going to be in the business? And I think that's a big thing, where you have to learn here's what you like and here's what people want. And business is about supply and demand.
Sure.
So if you can obviously find what you like and figure out what people want and put that together, you're going to have a business, right? And so pivoting in life through these circumstances, right? Understanding that we don't have all the time we think we do.
Right.
Can you believe it? Like, how old are you right now?
54, I think.
54, yeah, right? I'm 38. Okay. I can't believe I'm 38.
Yeah.
Can you believe you're 54?
No.
Right?
Not until I look in the mirror.
I know, right? You see this. Those are just little wisdom.
Yeah, it's
right?
a lot of wisdom, it looks like.
So it's just, you look at back and like, am I reacting the same way to everything? Right? Or am I becoming better at certain areas? And you're not going to become better unless you're obviously filling up that cup. And so if you want to become stronger in your faith through God, well, I tell people, what's the 3 ways you get closer to the Lord, right? Number 1 is pray. Number 2 is read the Word of God. And number 3, worship. right? And congregate with other people. Find a church where you can go to that actually reads the Word of God and actually can grow there. You're not going to get better unless you show up to practice, right?
Right.
And then you apply that to all the areas in your life, right? All the areas in your life. If I want to become great at this business or what I'm doing or influencing people, well, shouldn't it make sense that I start listening to books of people who have influence, who know how to inspire other people? You learn how to inspire through the inspiration of other people. And again, with your family, you got your family out of whack. If you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing morally in your family, well, it's hard to be successful in business and be unsuccessful at home. Even the Bible says you must know how to run your house in order before you can run the house of God. Because if you can't run your house in order, how can you expect to run God's church in order?
Right.
So with that pressure comes responsibility for us to say, I can't just be good at church, or I can't just be good at sports, or I can't just be good at this, and then let everything else. No, it's got to be an all-around thing.
Yeah, that's actually very powerful. And when we talked about, you kind of touched on it a little bit too, that this has kind of provided a snapshot of people that are doing certain things, businesses, and businesses have closed, businesses have changed, and it's really created a lot of, and I want to say opportunity, if you take it the right way, to grow and kind of really pushed people out there to grow. Yeah. Even just on your personal level, you mentioned coming in and thinking, before you had your original office, and you probably 5 years ago never imagined moving would create the tie between your church and the business at the same, right. Or now just the social media aspect of it, how you're able to reach more people on both. Yeah. Because of this. And it's probably, like you said, sitting at home and not being able to go into the office as much as you were before created that. And it kind of got the wheels moving. And you being the way that you are positive wise, probably just started everything creativity flowing and thinking and moving outside the box, like you mentioned. Yeah.
Well, I just knew that at one point, if people can't come to us, then we need to go to them.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So this year we combined all three things. Ready? My faith, my family, and business, I combined it.
Yeah.
I say, wait a minute, we're using somebody else's church, but yet they're closing their doors right now and they're not letting us use the facilities.
Right.
Because of this. And for whatever reason, they had to close. But our church is independent. Who makes the decisions for our church? It was me. I was like, well, I'm not going to close.
Right.
People need this. People need to continue to listen. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do? Well, then for a while we were on Facebook, right? And we're doing that. And I was like, wait a minute. And they said, you can't use the facilities at all for a while. So there it is. There's a decision you have to make. What do I go to? Pray, read, and then keep worship going. The Bible says don't stop the congregation from meeting with each other. Like most people try to stop you. That's what the Bible says. So I was like, okay, well, that's what the Word says. I got to find a way to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute. We got our new building, right, here in Riverside. Our business got labeled essential.
We're open. Yeah.
We're open. I didn't ever close my business. And even if you have to close your doors, doesn't mean you should close your business. You should find a way to continue to be open and tell people I'm here to serve. So our business kept thriving, kept going. The people who wanted to come in could come in. People who didn't want to come in, no problem. Everything was on Zoom. Right. I put up a camera in my office and I figured out how to do it. I'm not even technology around. Like, this is amazing to me, okay? But I'm like, boom, boom. Okay, it works. Let's go. And then guess what? I acted like I was doing it for a million years. So guess what happened? We started teaching people how to use Zoom. Right. And I grew a bigger belly because I didn't move out of my chair doing appointments after appointments after appointments, right? But I found myself doing more production out of my office than anything. But then why have my family not here, not see them? Well, I started bringing them to the office too. Yeah. And then this past couple months ago, about 3 months ago, they told us that we couldn't use the facilities at all for a while. Right, because they're looking to do some changes. And then if we wanted to use the facilities, we had to be outside. Well, guess what was coming? Winter. Yeah. I got a bunch of ladies who are 70, 80 years old. I can't have them outside freezing. Right. And so, pivot. What do we do? And I just remember praying for it. And a great friend of mine was like, why don't we just use the office, Mike? And I'm like, it's already set up for about 75 people. I have training. I have it. By the way, what you see online is my actual office that I use to train and develop agents. Yeah. Get it?
Yeah.
And so I was like, duh, right? Let's just use this. And that's exactly what we did. And so now, guess what? On Thursday nights, we're not using it. We use it for Bible study. And on Sundays, nobody's in the office. We use it for that. So my business is set up to already be a seminar business where I have a lot of people coming in. And I can use my business for whatever I want. And so we've combined my business to do all three things. My kids come to the office whenever they want. My wife is working with me. And now we use it on the weekends for church. And guess what? It's working, man.
Yeah.
It might not be the conventional, and guess what?
Sure.
Way other people's doing it, but it's the way that we're doing it.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
nothing's conventional anymore.
You kidding me? And so this whole thing is now reaching tons of people.
Yeah.
And could we always do things better? Of course.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't stop you from doing anything at all. And that's why I tell people, something is something, but nothing continues to be nothing.
Right. And that's actually, that's probably one of the things that I would love. I mean, you're always throwing out these little pieces of gold at me. And so that's one of those too where, you know, we've talked with other people that come in here and you see so many people trying different things. And you know what, I don't even, I try not to critique the content or anything like that because it's more just, I like seeing people overcome. And I guess maybe for lack of a better word, evolve. You know, and we all know how that's worked through history, you know, businesses with people, with just anything in general. If you don't evolve, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
And so going back again to this is that mass world lesson that we're all being taught. It's time. It's time to change the way we do things. It's time to look at different things. We've gotten too comfortable in what we were doing. So now we're all having to reevaluate. And I think it's when you use the word pivot, it is a pivotal time because I'm really pulling strongly for people to get motivated to be back together.
Right.
You know, and like you mentioned, reach down and help each other. It doesn't matter we're in the same business. There's plenty for all of us. I can help you. You can help me. There's always something that everybody has that we can all learn from. And so, you know, I always try to instill that in our players that even if you watch someone else, sometimes you don't understand what it is you're doing until you see someone else doing it. Or you don't understand that you might see something that this person is struggling with that you've already overcome. So show them.
That's right.
You know, it's not a wrong idea to help someone and try to get them to grow, because that's always going to help everyone as a society, as a race, as a world.
That's it.
And for you to take that, like I said, it's funny because you said it's not the norm, you know, anymore. It is. You know, you adapt. If you've got to do it out of your garage, if you got to do it out of your living room, then do it, because the message is more important than the means. That's
it. You hit it right on the nail. And you know, people say, well, Mike, but then we have to do 100% Zoom. I was like, no. Nothing is going to be stronger than face-to-face interaction. We keep as much as that as possible and can add to it. So in my office, guess what? I still run meetings. Yeah. People come who want to, and those who don't are on Zoom. Yeah. But guess what? Either or, we're still building relationships with people. Yeah. And so, you know, there's I spoke about this yesterday to the congregation. I said, you know, the other day I was at the gym. I found a gym that's open, by the way. It's fired me up.
That's next. You put that in your office.
Oh, man.
You don't have to leave.
You don't even know, man. They could put a cafe in the office and a gym. Dude, we got it made. Yeah. Right? Anyways, our offices in Arizona have that. They have gyms in their office. I'm like, that's what we do in California. It's brilliant. Yeah. Right? So put that out there into the world, right? Hopefully that happens, okay? So then I'm at the gym. This guy's working out. And you can see it's probably his first day working out ever in his life, dude. I'm talking about this guy does not know how to use a machine or anything, and I'm kind of observing it right now for a second. And he has the courage to talk to a guy there that look enormous, okay? Yeah. He's like, hey, man, do you know how to use this? The guy's like, bro, how old are you? Right? Don't you know how to use this stuff, man? Yeah. You're like, man. He's like, you know what? He's like, this is unbelievable. And the guy's going off on him. He just talked to him, and he's like, man, you should be embarrassed, dude. And then... All right, and he's like, get up, you know, and he walks by just with this bad attitude. I'm like, dude, what a complete, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I got you.
I was about to go up to him, but right after he said that, another dude walks up and he's like, get out of here, you big, you know. Yeah. And this dude was in shape as well, but he goes up to him and he goes, hey, man, let me show you how to use this. He says, you don't want to put this here. How much do you weigh? He's like 155 pounds. So you don't want to start at 160 because this thing is going to throw you through the window, right? And so he's showing him, he's like, you want to start here? He's like, I'll try that, right? And he was trying to do some arm workout. He's like, oh, yeah, that's good. He's like, is it easy? He's like, yeah. So he puts him a little bit more weight.
Sure.
How's that? He's like, oh, it's a little bit heavy. Okay, that's where the pain now.
Okay.
He's all good. He's like, hey, man, I'll tell you what. He's all, way to be in here, man. Way to get in here. He's like, yeah, man, I just don't know how to use. He's all, how many times have you been in the gym? He's all, this is my first day in the gym ever. That dude that walked up to him first made him feel this small.
Yeah.
It's probably, if nobody came up to him after that, was probably going to be also his last day at the gym.
Right.
Another guy with kindness and love just came up to him and spent 2 minutes, 3 minutes just showing him how to work it, right? How to do it. He says, hey, brother, I'm going to be right over there, right? He said, what are you going to work out today? He says, I don't know. He says, and he says quickly, he says, well, there's only so many places on your body you can work out, right?
Yeah.
You have chest, back, arms, right? Arms and legs. He says, why don't you do chest today? And he's like, I'll do that machine. If you need help, let me know. I'll be right over there. And the guy looks at him and he goes, thank you, man. I appreciate that. He's like, do you work here? He says, no, man. I'm just a guy like you trying to get better. I've just been here a couple more years than you.
Yeah.
Right? He said, but don't feel bad reaching out. Don't feel bad reaching out. I'll be right over here if you need me. So thanks a lot. And as he walked away from that dude, you can just see this guy turn around, but he had a big smile on his face. Right? The other one deflated him. This guy what?
Inflated him.
Inflated him. With what? And I believe this is what we all need to be doing. Treat each other with kindness. Take a couple more seconds, a little bit more patience with people to help people. See, you either teach people to fish or you give them a fish. Which one's better?
Teach them.
Right? Yeah. They'll feed themselves for life, right? So that little example, I was telling people, if we can take that small example, people go to church, there's people who've been with church for many, many years, right? Instead of helping people with their walk, they sometimes make themselves like, well, I got 40 years in the Word of God, I'm a little bit holier than you. They look at the title or years instead of the responsibility to help them walk a better life in Christ. Number two, whether it be at your job and business, if you can take the time to teach people and treat them with kindness. See, because in this world, man, we tend to recognize achievements, right? Whether it be in academic, whether it be in sports, right? Whether it be in honors or anything might be, right? We tend to, but we forget to recognize the most important things above those things, which is kindness, treating people with kindness and love. When you see people doing something that, inspire people, inspiration and treating people and taking the time to make them better. Yeah. That's one of the things that we need to make attractive again. We need to make sure that we become that person that inspires and take a little bit more time to help someone. I get it. We're competitive, right? Sure. Yeah. In different fields, but you tend to find out you become better by teaching other people how to become better.
Right. Well, and it's interesting you say that because sports background, and not that everything revolves around that, but you can attest to the fact that sports creates failure, and it creates that ability to overcome failure. Absolutely. Or motivate you to overcome failure, get better at something. And I think that's kind of, from our end with John and, when Brian was with us and Jason and the guys we have there, I try to instill in them that we're not teaching baseball. We're using that as our method to show kids if there's something you really want to get better at, you can, but you got to show up every week, every day to practice, whatever it is, playing the guitar, Zoom, finances, whatever it is, you have to put your mind to it and overcome it. And even if you don't finish out or you change your mind and I don't want to continue playing baseball or football or whatever it is, everything that I learned still applies.
That's right.
Like you had said, for your business, you'd been doing the same thing. Now you're just changing where you're going. But all of the same things that you learned, all of the failures, all the things you've overcome in business, you were able to put into creating your church and building the church for helping your father move that forward. And now by what you're doing with the church, it's creating different types of adversity, forcing you to relearn some things. And like you said, always trying to get better. And now I'm excited to see where that's going to take you.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have this talk in 5 years and you're going to be doing something different. You're going to go, it came from what I learned from running the church, and now it's doing this, and now it's doing, and it just really kind of gets the wheels turning as to where this is going to take you next.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's a full circle. Because remember, I was big time in sports. Man, my love was sports, man.
Sure.
It's my goal is to be the best in what I was doing as a kicker.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that if you want to be the best in one thing, man, you gotta pay the price in full up front.
Sure.
Right? And as a matter of fact, as you're going to the grind, whether you're taking BP 1,000 times out of the week, right, or you're kicking the football, I found myself kicking the football thousands of times and all that, right, and perfecting it. It was in those moments that separate you from everybody else being average and ordinary, because you're willing to put in the work. And so you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to do the things that most people won't to get the things that most people won't have, right? So that's where, yes, when I couldn't play football anymore at the higher level, you said, right, I didn't stop being Mike, those things, right? I just couldn't kick a football. I just got to kick a different football now.
Yeah.
Right? And so I did it with my youth.
Yeah.
The youth group. I started doing it with my business. And so I became a corporate athlete.
Yeah.
Right? I became a corporate athlete, and I started saying, okay, what are the things that are going to help me be successful? If I'm hanging out with someone who's the best pitcher in the world and he's teaching you how to adjust and do certain things and here's some workouts you do and all that, I'm going to listen to that dude.
Yeah.
Well, in business, it's the same thing. If you wanted to become, for example, a millionaire, you find a millionaire, do what he does, you most likely have what he has.
Sure.
Right? So I got myself a mentor. I happened to be in the office with the best guy in the world at that time. Think about how big of a blessing was that.
Sure.
Right at the time when my football career was ending. And so we're living in times where people want to become famous or successful instantly overnight. And most people don't understand that it happens very little bit, right? Very few times.
Yep.
But the most successful people started off with nothing. And the number one investment they did was in themselves.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand that you got to take that, everything that you applied in baseball or in football, whatever you do as an athlete, those don't change, right? There has to be a portion of you where it's content but also frustrated at the same time. I call it, you got to have two cheeks, one fired up and the other one on fire. Right. So one's burning your butt because you're like, oh man, I could be better, but the other one should also learn how to be content and be thankful for what you have accomplished, right? And so be content, right? But don't be conformed to that. This is how far we go. No, let's take it to the next level, right? What can we do?
Yeah.
So that's where we have to understand that you got to bust it. You got to be able to, not do what everybody else is doing.
Right.
You know, my mom told me, you should get out of that business. I don't see you making any money. Right? I said, Mom, you don't understand. It's the learning side of it now. I'm learning. So you go get a real job. Go to Big Five. They're hiring. Nothing wrong with having a job at Big Five. But I was telling her, I was like, well, everybody told me I wasn't going to make it to college in football because I wasn't big enough. That had nothing to do, right? I knew that I got to bust it, and I made it, right? Thank God. By the grace of God, we got a scholarship. We were able to go play ball. And then nobody told me I could make it next time. Then we made it to arena football, right? And then through injury, it stopped that career. But at the end of the day, humans are capable of so much more than they ever think they can do. And so if people got a goal right now, you got to be willing to grind. You got to be willing to put in the time and to grind it, the sweat, But you also got to be willing to not listen to the dream stealers out there who tell you maybe you should slow down, maybe you should do this. I said, man, if I slow down, I die.
Yeah.
Right? So there's going to be haters in life. You need them rooting you on. When my father passed away, there's someone who came and told me, maybe you should close down the church for a year. Right? Maybe you should take it easy, take a break. Go mourn your father. And I said, if you ever want to be around me again, don't ever tell me to close anything in my life again. He wasn't expecting that.
Well, yeah, no, I don't think so.
I can't believe you told me that. I was like, I follow the people moving forward, not going backwards. It's okay for time to rest. There's a season of mourning, season of different things, seasons we're going to go through. But there's a difference between having a start and stop. You ever seen people start and then stop, start and stop?
Yep.
Once you get hard, they stop. And And that's why they never really get things going, and 10, 20, 30 years go by, you're still the same guy, starting something, stopping, and there's no consistency in your life. That's why there's a little bit of disappointment there in your life. Well, how does that begin to stop in your life? Well, you start to build that self-confidence again by not stopping but pivoting, and keeping promises to yourself. It starts there. And so there's so many things obviously I want to tell you, but it just ends up being to where once we finally get out of the way of thinking what other people are going to think about us, and just go do it and screw it up anyways. Right?
Yeah.
You find out you didn't die.
Well, it's interesting listening to you because, there's, and like I said, there's so many things that you and I could go back and forth on and analogies and things. But as you were talking, what you were talking about with the stopping and the starting is you lose that momentum.
Yes.
And people don't understand. You can't pivot without momentum.
Thank you.
It's totally different. With sports, one of the things that I think people don't understand that makes it so difficult is that, and I saw this the other day, was Peyton Manning. He's got a show, and he was talking to, I think it was Kurt Russell, and he was talking about acting. And Kurt Russell was saying, what always attracted me to sports as opposed to acting was that with acting, the outcome. We might be playing an adverse role in the movie, but we know there's going to be a happy ending. With sports, every guy that played football with you, every guy that played baseball with you, we all work for the same thing, but we don't know the outcome. But you still work just as hard.
Yeah.
And that outcome could be complete failure. At the time of the kick, it may not happen, but you work just as hard, but you don't know the outcome. But a lot of people can't apply that to their regular life. Like you said, I could be on video every single day, and if I never get anybody to follow, nobody ever watches, it doesn't matter because I was working at doing it.
Right.
And you don't know the outcome with so many things, but it shouldn't ever stop you from working hard towards that. And with athletes, you kind of understand that because you go out to practice and you don't think negative. You can't. You can't go up there and go, why am I kicking 500 of these a day? Because I'm just going to miss it in the game. And there's no point in doing it. You do it because you want to be ready to have the best outcome that you can. And with sports, you don't know the outcome. You just work and you work and you work and you work and let it play out itself. And a lot of people don't want to put that into their lives. That fear of failure, that fear of, well, what if I spend all this time and I don't make any money?
That's right.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Well, it brings us back to a word. That's one of the worst words you can ever have at the end of your life. It's called regret.
Yeah.
When people usually die, they don't want their trophies next to them.
Yeah.
They don't really care about that. They care about the time with their family, and they regret the things they should have done, not so much the things they did do.
Yeah.
So time is such a great commodity. I might not remember all the failures and victories in football.
Sure.
Although I'd still remember some games that really,
Right. No, I got you.
Mad, right? We all remember that game, right?
There's one or two in there.
Oh man, you'll never forget it. But what happens more is not so much the regret of loss, but the regret of you not busting it and give everything you got.
Sure.
And that's where it comes down. We don't know when it's going to be taken away from us. There's things in life we love that one day will be the last day we get to play that game. I can't see my dad right now for a while. Right? I'll catch up to him later. But how much more do I wish he was around?
Right.
I don't kick footballs anymore. But man, do I miss it?
Sure.
But there's a part of me that doesn't regret or doesn't take the pain, but it takes away the pleasure of the game because I knew that I was there, man, I busted it. I gave everything I could. I had to be the best, right? And I didn't want to play the game. I wanted to be the best at the game. That's a difference. And there's a separator between those. Because think about it, when we watch somebody on TV, okay, you watch baseball guys. Isn't everybody on the field a professional?
Yeah.
But why do some people stand up above other people?
Yeah.
Although they all get paid to play, they're all pros, right? It's a decision on the inside they make. There's like, I'm not just here to play, I'm here to be the best. And so that's where if we can take that with us in all areas of our life, I'm not just here to be a dad, I'm here to be the best dad ever. I'm not just here to be a husband, I'm here to be the best husband this planet has ever seen. See how things begin to change?
Yeah.
Now you challenge yourself, not so much someone else. And so that's where the regret comes in. We say, man, I wish I would have done more. And that's where if you're a high school player right now or like a college player right now, if you can switch that about you and say, you know what? I know that one day all this is going to end, right? And the pleasure comes from busting it all, right? Not just in the games, but in practice and vice versa. No matter win or lose, it's taking that but taking that principle of life, that everything you do with all your heart, right? Everything's not going to last forever. So that's the area where I think that for what we're doing now, whether it be in my faith, whether it be in the church, whether it be in my family, whether it be in the business, we're trying to get people to understand that, how many people have told you like, well, I want to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Well, let's wait a little bit. Let me think about this.
Right.
You've been thinking your whole life already.
Sure.
So if you can take action today, right? And like, for example, no one's playing baseball right now. Like one of my sons wants to play really bad. He loves the game. I know that's something that might be a big deal in his life, right? He said, but the other day he told me, but Dad, there's no teams playing, but it doesn't mean that the baseball fields ain't open. I said, that's right, son. He said, can we go play this Saturday and just go hit some balls for a little bit? I said, let's go.
Yeah.
And that came out of him.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where we always need to find a way, okay, how can I still keep going? Right? So
yeah. No, that's phenomenal. I mean, that what you touched on there at the end, that's kind of where we are right now. We have a lot of players that nonstop from March. And, like we talked about before, as an athlete, everything's kind of scripted for you as far as the work, as far as the time, practice, what to do, how to do it. That's what the coaches are there for. And now you've had this time where you don't have it. And we'll kind of make it more on a personal level where a lot of these kids, they don't have a program that's telling them we're practicing at 3 o'clock. We're going to do this at 3:15. We're like a regular routine.
Right.
So they've had to create their own accountability. Absolutely. No one else is playing. So I'm just going to hang out, play video games. And then when they tell us it's time to go back, I'll go back. And then I have a group of kids that haven't stopped. I've got some kids that have lost 30, 40 pounds since March. I have kids that have gained 10 or 15 pounds since March. I've had kids that have gotten over some things that we couldn't get over, bouncing back and forth between games. And, it's different getting the repetitions and getting the game experience. So I'm so proud of those kids that even though they didn't know when they were going to get to play again, they never stopped working. And what we would try to explain to them is, look, on the surface, I can tell you baseball's not going away. At least not in our lifetime.
No.
There's too much money involved. There's too many things at the top. There's guys are not going to let that happen. So if you want to continue to be part of it, you don't have the luxury of stopping.
That's right.
Because when it comes back, there's going to be two sides. Guys that did nothing and the guys that kept working.
That's right.
And when you leave and the game is done, when you go to college, there's going to be the same. There's going to be the guys that did nothing, the guys that kept working. And all the way through business, all the way through the rest of your life. It's always going to be like that. Absolutely. There's going to be that divide. And you're never going to look back and regret working hard. If you put 100% into it, if you worked all the time, even if it didn't work out in baseball, soccer, football, whatever, you're never going to look back and go, man, if I'd have partied a little less or if I'd have just done this and this, those are where your regrets come from. But if you put everything you possibly can put into it, and it doesn't work out, you're going to walk away feeling like I did everything I could. And that's a better feeling than the other one.
That's right. That's perfect. It's regret should be a reminder of our responsibility, right?
Yeah.
To max out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yesterday ended last night. Tomorrow's not promised. All we have is today.
Yeah.
Can be better today. Right. And man, it's such a separator. And that goes into all life. I mean, only you can make a decision to better your life. Sometimes you have to get rid of things to get better, not so much add things.
Sure.
Friends, associations, girlfriends, right? Boyfriends, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
You got to make decisions. And that's where the big boy pants comes in, where you finally start understanding that life is going to be about decisions and about the ones you make for yourself. And we can't change the past, right? I mean, obviously, you change tomorrow by changing today, but that's where those decisions and those regrets are huge, man. I mean, it should remind us of our responsibility today. And if you think you're going to get better by showing up to practice, you got another thing coming. You might make the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you won't be at the next level.
Right.
I mean, you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
The guys show up. You show up to practice to show all the work you've done when no one was watching.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's easy to shine at practice in a game,
Mm-hmm.
but are you really to grind it out? You know, do the things that most people will never ever do, and that's going to be the same in business.
Yeah.
That's going to be the same in anything you do. And so today, if you can maybe get inspired to say, okay, can I read a book that makes me a better whatever you want to do? Start there.
Yeah.
Right? Start there. Or I'm not big of a reader because I fall asleep, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's me.
So I'm Audible, right? Audible.com all the way, right?
Yeah.
I download books, and my car has become a mobile classroom now. Instead of a place where I listen to music, it
Sure.
becomes a mobile classroom. Now traffic is a time for me to get better, not for me to complain.
Sure.
So, like, for example, I listen to a book that makes me better as a leader on the way to the office. As I'm out throughout the day, I switch that book to something that's helped me with another thing I'm working on. But when I'm going home, I'm listening to a book that also is making me trying to help me become a better husband, a better father to my family, right? So, again, that's just what I do. But you'll be amazed as you start to pour in new things into your life, right? You begin to change, and you said it right. It's hard to pivot if you don't have any momentum, right?
Right.
It's hard to steer an unmoving ship.
That's right. Yeah. It goes nowhere.
It goes nowhere.
Circle.
Exactly. And so many people, they got so many goodies, man. God put so many great things in their life, but man, they do nothing. They're just not moving. And you find new things about yourself as you go along. So, I mean, today we can just understand that whether it's God telling you something or you know in your side of your heart you should be doing more, you can be doing it. Just get started. Right?
Well, I know you're a busy guy, and when I get chatting with people, I always feel bad about intruding on extra time, and so I know, talking to you and just listening to the conversation that we're having, and I kind of feel like, I told you before, I kind of feel like the pastorship in the church is where you really belong. But I mean, it's just me. Like I said, there's certain people that you have to have that inspiration to help people, and if you put it in the right medium, it's going to go farther. And I think, you will probably agree with me that I think you're going to end up helping more people through the church than you are through business. I think you will, and I'm confident of that. But I'm pumped about this too, because you did that for me that the one day, and I saw it and I took the picture of it. I still have it on my phone because I sent it to you. And I'll tell you honest, I've got no problem telling people I'm guilty of it too. I didn't take that motivation you gave me and make it work directly in the business, but I've started to follow more people that are like Adam, that are Ryan Pineda, one of my former players that I know. He's all over social media now. I don't know if you follow him, but same thing, super motivated. He's started 4 businesses now in Vegas, and he's actually got a mentorship where he does something out of his office similar to you. And so I started, not necessarily directly, but kind of using those things and watching more things to start trying to put myself in that position where maybe I don't have instant access to mentors all the time, but you can always find them, on different mediums. And so, maybe just a quick snapshot of your business. Kind of tell everybody real fast what you do, because I didn't introduce that. But tell them what you do and about your business. You mentioned the office, and then I want to have you go over that example for me, because I think that's very impactful.
Okay.
And I think that's something that, for even if you're not business minded like I'm not, that was something that really hit home. And when you did that demonstration, I got it. I understood what you were trying to get across to me in just a little snapshot. Yeah.
Well, I'm in the financial services arena. I help families obviously make and save money and get their finances in order. For many years, they were, and I mean, look at it now. There's a lot of great financial companies out there. A lot of them serve a certain sector of people, a certain amount of income, right? More of the affluent market. And nobody was really helping the middle America.
Okay.
Right? Even myself. And so there's about 30 years ago, this company I'm working with now lets you become your own financial services company, where you can build your own brokerage.
Okay.
And whether you want to be a self-individual advisor or you want to actually become a broker and run your own agency, or even open up multiple agencies, that's what I've been able to do. It's 100% entrepreneurs, right? So they become a platform for you to go build your own financial company. So what I'm going to show you today, and what we help people do, is when's the best time to start saving money? Right? Now, right? When's the best time to start getting your finances in order. Well, a couple things is that we have to remember that, even in the word I say, we have to be good stewards with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
No one's perfect. I used to make money and spend it as fast as I got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the area of money, how many people are going to need help with their money?
Yeah.
Right? So there's two places, well, there's a lot of places we help people, but people are going to pass away one day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's never going to stop. And how long are people going to need help with their money? So 15 years ago, I was going to school learning the business field in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my teacher saying, look, if one of you guys want to be in an industry where it's always going to be popping, it's the financial industry. People are always going to need help with their money. So this company, can I say the company too? I mean, obviously,
absolutely.
I'm with a company called WFG, World Financial Group, and I'm one of the brokers of the company. I'm an executive marketing director with them now, and been with them for 15 years.
Okay.
And so I started part-time. That's probably one of the biggest things we had was the power of part-time.
Mm-hmm.
I was still going to school, waiting tables at night, and started to get my license. I got my license to the state, and I started learning how to help people financially across the kitchen table. Right. So they helped my family first, and when I saw what my mentor did with my family, with my mom and dad, how he helped them save his retirement, pay off, was able to save his home, pay off their debt, establish an estate planning with through wills and trusts. I was like, that was awesome, man. He did it like in 30 minutes. He's like, yeah. I never knew how much that would come back to serve our family. So this is what we do in a nutshell. And I'm going to draw this out for you. Can I draw it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if they can see this, right?
You can draw, and then you can just kind of hold it up. Yeah, we should be able to.
So I'm going to draw a box, okay? This box, okay, is going to kind of show us a little bit of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
If I condense the U.S. population, right, down to 1,000 people, okay, 10 of those people represent the wealthy, right? 10 of those people represent the wealthy, the top left. These are people right now who make over $250,000 a year, right? Some of them are business owners. They might be, right? But they have multiple streams of income. And as you might also know, that most of them have what's called a financial advisor or a plan. And they're with big companies, right? They're with financial companies out there very familiar with. Might be, the Merrill Lynch's, the Charles Schwab's, the Northern Trust, all these guys.
Okay. And
great companies, right? So what our company did is that we saw that a lot of these families being helped many years ago, but nobody's really helping middle America, right? So you take companies like this, okay? Who do most of the most successful companies in the world over the last 10 to 20 years really took off? Did they take off just serving higher income families or serving all families?
All families.
Right? Think of Walmart. Do they go after high income families or middle America?
Yeah, middle America.
Explode, right? What can you buy on Amazon?
Anything.
Anything you want, right? They offer everything. They found a way to distribute, right, products to the masses. Okay, and that's exactly what happened. So you take companies like McDonald's, right? How did McDonald's blow up?
Yeah,
in the 1950s, right? They didn't just have a place where they sell burgers. They found a way to. It wasn't about he says, Ray Kroc says, don't sell the French fries, right? Sell the franchise.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So what he did is they franchised the business and gave people a chance to have ownership in that industry. And that's exactly what we did with our firm. Our company gave you a chance to come on board, be an independent contractor, and then you do as much or as little as you want, no territory restrictions, no quotas, get a license, and also you have a mentor who teaches you what to do until you're ready to do it. And that's what happened. See, WFG, our company, went after the 990, which represent the majority of the population. Let's go to the right side here. And these are people who are, homeowners, right? Who are married, who have kids, right? And have a job, right? Making about $100,000 or less. These are people who put their money in a bank, maybe have a savings account where they get very little interest rate, right? They probably have a 401k, right, for retirement, not knowing, most people don't know that a 401k is not a retirement plan. It's actually a tax write-off for company owners and executives, right? So if that's where you're going to pay the most in taxes, well, what do the wealthy do? Put it in places that most people didn't know existed, can build wealth and reduce taxes, right? So this right here, most people on the right side want to retire at the age of 65, correct? Well, guess what we discovered? Going through this road, having a bank account where you're making no interest and having a 401k relying on somebody else, guess what? This is called a road to the broke.
Right.
Ready? The road to the broke. So I'll put it up there, all right? Hopefully they can see this, all right? The road to the broke on the right side. How many families do you know, Ernie, that are on this side right here?
A lot of them.
Trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
And sadly, 9 out of 10 families, what's the number one area they struggle with? It's called cash flow. The money left over after bills.
Sure.
Either families are living above their means, not below their means, or they really want to save money, but they just make enough to pay the bills and that's it.
Right.
Well, here's what we do. What we do is we show people on the right side what people on the left side are doing. What are the people on the left side good at? Why are they becoming wealthy from generation to generation? Well, the 3 things that they have in order, okay, first things first, is they know how to manage and stay out of debt. There's what's called good debt and bad debt, right? Good debt makes you money. You put yourself a little bit of debt to build passive income coming in, right? Or, money coming in from properties and things like that. But then how many families do we know right now are suffering in credit card debt these days?
A lot.
A lot. One of the biggest mistakes people make in the financial industry, they say, or families they make, they say, when I pay off my debt, Ernie, then I'll start saving money. When do you ever pay off debt?
Never. Right.
And you add 15, 18% on top of that, it's eating it up.
Right.
So what we do is we first show people how to get their debt in order and establish to get out of debt over the next maybe 2 to 5 years. Right? And we do that for free. And some people who are way over debt, we'll put them through a company called Debt Elimination if they need the help so that they can help eliminate some of that debt and get out of debt faster. But we've discovered that these people have their debt in order. Number 2, here's what we also discovered. The people on the left side also have what is known as a lot of life insurance policies. Okay? Life insurance. Why do they have so many life insurance policies? Well, for 2 reasons. Number 1, see, there's 2 types of life insurance policies in a nation. Number 1 is the term insurance that protects your income and your assets. You can get a lot of insurance for a little bit of money. Let's just say you get a $500,000 life insurance policy for a 30-year term, costing you $50, right? If something happens from now until your kids are out of the house, that $500,000 can really help your family. You ever see people out there doing car washes? It's sad, right?
Yeah.
Somebody passes away. And they didn't know that for less than $100, they could have taken care of their home, everything. Right. So we want people to understand to get your life insurance in order. That's actually the number 1 foundation to a great financial portfolio is your life insurance policy. Okay. And the sooner the better because you're in good shape and you have to qualify. So the first one is called to protect your family. Put an F there, right? I'll put it up there for other people to see, right? But the second biggest reason that people here in this area have a lot of life insurance is the second part of life insurance policies. They build wealth inside of life insurance policies. Here's why. Did you know that in the United States, there is a little code or tax law known as the 7702 tax law, IRC section 7702. If you read that code, it says that life insurance is tax-free. If you have a $1 million policy, Ernie, and you pass away, that $1 million policy goes to your family and you pay 0 taxes and they pay 0 inheritance tax. That's how you protect your family. But the other one, which is called permanent life insurance policies, and these are specific ones you have to have. We do one which is called IUL. Okay, you'll learn more about that later. We don't use whole lives or certain types of policy to build wealth because they're not building wealth as much as people thought. I'll just stop there. Right. Okay. But the IUL, here's what it is. It is a life insurance policy with a savings account inside of it, built inside called cash value. Well, guess what? If you keep reading the law, it says that if you build any interest inside of a life insurance policy, the same rules apply as far as tax advantage. You can build interest tax-free. And also, guess what? On the back end, instead of having to pay taxes on the back end when you withdraw, you can pull money out tax advantage, tax-free, through something called wash loans. And we'll teach about that a different day if people want to know how to do this. But ready for this? This is called an IUL as an example. I standing for Index Universal Life. The index inside of insurance policies basically means that your money gets to mirror the market. You don't have to no longer be in the stock market. See, most advisors just want to put your money in the market. It's okay. It can be money managed. They can have an advisor on there, and it's going up and down through the market. Somebody's watching it for you, right? Some people have nobody watching it for them. Okay, we do that as well. But what if I told you, Ernie, that when the market goes up, the insurance company is going to have. Let's just say you're putting $300 a month into this type of life insurance, but now $50 of that $300 payment or premium is going to pay for the life insurance portion. But the other $250 is actually going into a savings vehicle that now is going to mirror the market. So the insurance company is going to give you, when the market goes up, for example, like an index such as the S&P 500.
Mm-hmm.
If the market goes up, they're going to give you a 15% cap maximum. So if the market goes up 17%, how much did you make that year?
15%.
15%. And they're going to give you 15% interest in your account, and they're going to lock it in for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you take 15%?
Yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
But here's the difference. Because it's an index policy, when the market goes down, you take a 0 or a 0.75% floor or a 1% guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, when the stock market goes down, people that are in the market lost money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about here? No, you have a floor guarantee. That year, you didn't lose and you didn't make anything, but you didn't lose the gains that you had the year before.
Right.
You have a floor. So when the market goes up, you go up, we put concrete underneath it,
Mm-hmm.
right? When the market goes down the next year, no problem. You just stay where you are and earn 0.75%. And ready? Here's the deal. Because it grew inside of a life insurance policy, it's 100% tax-free.
Right.
Now, there's different types of ways to save stocks, mutual funds. Different. I'm not taking away from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could diversify your account, but this is a major area that, guess what we've learned? Major people in the wealthy here
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of these policies because there's no limitations on how much money you can put into that. Last thing here, if you pass away, they actually pay out your family both the life insurance portion and the cash value.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a $500,000 life insurance policy, but you had $300,000 in your cash value,
Mm-hmm.
you pass, right? Premature death, they pay out $800,000 to your family. They inherit it tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
Can that help the family's income and assets and all that?
Yeah.
Of course. But now you don't pass and you make it to later in life. Now you have an area of money called the supplement savings where you can pull money out to help with retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a life insurance portion first with what? With the savings vehicle inside of it. And guess what? You'd be surprised who owns these policies. We're talking about professional athletes. We're talking about this 7702 plan was created by Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Guess where they have their money?
Right.
Senators, presidents, 70%, over 70% of the Fortune 500 CEOs, guess what they have where they build wealth? Here. They have a different name when it's inside of their company.
Right.
But most people don't know that these policies are available for all families, regardless of your income or net worth. And they're now available for children 30 days after they're born. They're called juvenile IULs.
Wow.
So although we do everything in our firm, one of the areas that people didn't know that can build wealth is right here. And finally, so this is why this protects both your family and helps you build wealth tax-free, okay? Last thing here is we show people the importance of saving money for some of the most important areas. One, we want to make sure that you establish what's called a retirement account. Do you know exactly when you're going to retire and how much you need to stay retired?
Mm-hmm.
Another guy was going to retire the other year.
Mm-hmm.
He had $150,000. He had $100,000, $150,000 in his 401k.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to retire at 60 years old. How much is that $150,000 going to last for him if he needs $50,000 a year to pay his bills?
Probably not even 3 years.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I got a lot of money. I got $150,000. And what he didn't know is that when he grew it inside of a 401k, you haven't paid any taxes on it yet. So now you owe taxes. So really that $150, right?
Mm-hmm.
That $150,000, really you're getting home what, 110, maybe $100,000 out of
Right.
that. You're not going to be able to have enough to really retire or stay retired. He would have to go find a job at the age, if he wanted to retire at 65, he'd have to go find a job at age 68, 69 again.
Sure.
Who's hiring you at 69?
Right.
Right? 68 years old. So number one, you want to make sure that you have a retirement vehicle. Number two, you want to have what's called an emergency fund. Have 3 to 6 months saved so that, things like COVID hit or things like happen like that, you have money for that rainy day.
Right.
Right? The other one is we show people how to have a college fund for their kids, or if it's not for college, we do what's called a Head Start fund, where if your kid doesn't go to college, they can use the money for whatever they want, buy property, start a business, right, whatever they need. And so most families don't know that there's other products that you can use for your kid to still make good interest and give them a head start in life. And finally, we show people how to have what's called a trust and a will, a living trust and will. When my father passed away, having this available, making sure that everything you've worked for passed on to the next generation without interruption from the government or probate court and all that, guys. Most people don't know how easy it is to get this in order. It just takes a little bit of time. And so I want you to look at these areas. We say, okay, when it comes to your debt, your life insurance, and your savings plans, right, and whatever's important to you, if you gave yourself a grade today, at the very bottom from an F to an A, what grade do you give yourself? How's your financial?
Yeah.
report card doing today? And if you know you're not where you wanted to be, like I wasn't where I wanted to be, Ernie, you can take action on this today, right? Whether you give us a call or talk with an advisor, you can start putting these things in order, and it just provides a little bit of coaching. Now, in my business, we also have the business side where someone says, well, Mike, I love what you guys are doing for people. This is something I can see myself getting excited or passionate about. Well, as you know, the average family saves around $200 to $500 a month into some of these plans. Well, in our industry, with our firm, you start off as a part-time associate, right? Helping around 4 families a month save $200 to $300 a month. That's an extra $4,000 a month part-time as a 1099. Because again, sometimes families need help in one area, sometimes you need help in all the areas, and that's multiple streams of income. And so whether you're part-time as an advisor or become a broker or even go open up more brokerages like I did, you can take it as big as you want, as big as your ambition will take you. And at the same time, I'm not here to be people's bosses, but I'm here to be a coach and teach them what works in this industry and what doesn't. And again, so I'm still personally advising families. I take care of a lot of families, and we've been blessed from that. But this is an area where maybe today you take with you and we say, how am I doing? And guess what? Most families in these days, Ernie, I'll tell you, if you have one stream of income, you're looking to get killed. Financially, you got to open up to multiple streams of income. Start thinking outside the box. It's okay to have a job and have some other stream of income coming in. And one day that business might actually pay you more than your job, and that's when you can fire your boss. All right, because I'll ask you this: is life getting expensive? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, everything's going up. And I used to say the same thing until one of my mentors says, Mike, life is not getting expensive. The truth is you just don't make enough money. I'm like, man, that opened my eyes. He says, what's the cost of gas? I'm like, man, it's gone up like $3. He's like, I don't care what the cost of gas is. I haven't seen it. He said, why? Because I've built enough streams of income where now I get paid per month what I used to get paid per year. And that's what happened to me. So that allows me, think about it. It says the blind can't lead the blind and the broke can't lead the broke. If you want to maybe start to win in the money industry, excuse me, first you got to get your own stuff in order. And that's where when you start putting a plan for yourself, and it can be the smallest plan where you put 5% of your income away. You know, one of the biggest ways to start your life better this year financially, there's something called pay yourself first. Every time you get a paycheck, who usually takes a portion of that?
Government.
Uncle Sam, right? Because they know us, right?
Sure.
They take their portion first. Well, as a Christian, I give my first 10% to the Lord, but then I give my next 10% to me. Now that's gotten up a little bit more, and then I pay my bills, and then I actually go have fun. What most people are doing right now is they pay themselves last. They go and have a lot of fun when they make money. Then they barely make the bills, and then there's nothing left over for them who actually work hard for that money. So maybe you can take that with you here today, that you can say, okay, you know what, it's time to get my house in order. What's 3 things? How's your debt? How's your life insurance? And how's your savings plan? And if you're not where you want to be, get a little help. Get a little help. It helped me. I was in a lot of debt when I first started here, $17,000 of credit card bills, $28,000 student loan. But I got out of that debt in about 3 years, right? I established life insurance. So if anything happens to me now, my family's taken care of. But if nothing happens to me, well, guess what? I'm building wealth tax advantage. And of course, I've been able to start these savings plans for my family. And you can do the same thing. It's just a decision. Like I said, stop thinking about it. You've already been thinking about it for years, but take action. That's it.
That's great. That's great. I love that. So let me ask you this then. Tell everybody how they can find you on your different places, how they can find you, your office and things like how they get a hold of you and learn this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I can put my phone number on the line.
Well,
right?
Okay,
but you can find me in different areas. So in the church, you can go to THTLMV, that's M for Mike, right? .com. So that's the House of the Lord, Moreno Valley.com, right? They can go to our website through the church. If you want to look us up online for Facebook, you can follow us every Sunday at 9:30 in the morning for English service at the House of the Lord on Facebook. We're on live. And if you want to hear it in Spanish, we'll be having it at 11 o'clock live at La Casa del Señor, right? LCDS, right? .com. And you can look it up there, or you can go online and find us through the Facebook, La Casa del Señor. If you like to get a hold of me, you can also send me an email if you like at mbetancourt1@gmail. You can send it to my email. And you can also be able to reach me, and I definitely want to make sure I put the right numbers here for you. Right?
Sure.
But you can also go to WFG Connects /Mike Betancourt. So WFG Connects .com /Mike Betancourt. And that's my website that you can go to, and you can definitely send me a message there as well. And we will definitely give you a call. My number's on there as well. If you want to I haven't put my number, I guess possible, or you can follow me on Instagram at Mike Betancourt.
Yeah, I think that's probably because that'll lead you into everything else too.
At Mike Betancourt's all there. You can follow me on Instagram, and constantly, like my Instagram is full of three things: faith, family, and business. I'm constantly putting things on there, and then from there you'll be able to get more things on that. So
I just want everybody to be able to access that. Like I said, this was kind of a snapshot, and I told you we kind of went a different direction, but I mean, obviously you and I could probably have 3 or 4 of these, or you might even, this might be an idea for the office, make it a weekly show.
Man, I love it. I think it'd be great.
You've got tons of information, and I think you would probably really help a lot of people, because like anything, it takes a little bit of time for them to look at it, and we all don't make decisions right away. Like you said, we're all guilty of next week, tomorrow, and that's something that right now, especially, I think, like we mentioned, a lot of people are in different financial situations because of the last year, and so everyone's in a position to have to reevaluate what they're doing, and now's a great time for it.
Yeah, and what we basically want to do is, first thing, we provide financial literacy. We provide in financial education to show them how things work. Mm-hmm. And then most people are surprised. We're like, wait a minute, this is how this works. This is not really what I really want.
Right.
So we show them everything that's available to them. And once they find out what's available to them, man, it's amazing how people empower themselves and they take action and they begin to win the money game. Mm-hmm. So that's what it's all about. It's about creating relationships, and whether you're in the millions, we take care of people who are making 7 figures and above, and we have families who are either athletes or business owners or a family, or maybe you're just a young guy, or a young lady says, I want to get my own personal finance orders. It doesn't matter. We will do a Zoom call with you. You can be anywhere in the United States and Canada, and we can help you. Mm-hmm. And so we're excited. This last year was a great year for our firm. It grew 38% as a company.
Wow.
Through COVID. We're able to bring on board over 200,000 new associates.
Man, it's amazing.
Think about that. People from different businesses started to add the financial license to their bill. We show you how to do that. Mm-hmm. You can become an independent contractor with our firm for less than $500 to do that. We show you how to get all your stuff ready to go. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to have an office anymore, right? You can have an office either in our place in Riverside, and we're here off of Market Street, right? But you can begin to get help. And it says that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Mm-hmm. And so that's all we're trying to do, is trying to help families get to the next level. And you'd be surprised, man, what you can do with a little bit of ambition, maybe a little bit of investment, and then bring that heart to serve the community. We're going to show you how to do that.
Awesome. Well, brother, as always, it was awesome. And like I said, man, now that I know you're right up the street, I can ring you up and we can have a part 2, part 3.
That'd be great, brother.
It's always good to, like I said, to listen and get motivated by you, and it always starts the wheels turning. And I think that's just something that like you mentioned, you got to be around good people. And as long as I've known you, you're always good people.
I appreciate that, man. And thank God for that.
Just keep doing what you're doing, and I'm excited to see where everything's going for you. I really like watching, and like I said, I knew when I saw you taking over the church, I knew that was going to go in places. And like I said, I've never known you as a guy that was going to go halfway in. So I knew that was going to be, and just listening to you talk about it, I've told you already twice, I think that's where you need to be. So it's going to be amazing for you. And for anybody that's watching, take a look, find him on Instagram, watch some of his live on Thursday and Saturday with the church. I promise you, from knowing this man, you're never going to walk away without something that you can take and learn and grow from. So again, thanks for coming out, man. I know you're busy.
I appreciate that. And can I say one more thing?
Absolutely. Anytime.
On the church side, it's easy to find us. Start there, right? Leave us a message so I can start praying for you and reach out to you. On the family side, I want to thank my wife, Helena, for everything she does. She's amazing. She's my best friend and partner, right? She's been that rock too. And because the teamwork at the home has to work before it works anywhere else, right? So I want to thank her for that, and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But also, I just want to tell you that on the financial side, you can also start by just getting information. We have a free wealth seminar that we do every Tuesday night from 6 to 7, or actually a little bit like 6 to like 6:30.
Okay.
And then every Saturday from 10 to 10:30 in the morning, right, to about 11, we do a free financial seminar and a career workshop. So if they're interested, maybe you're interested in doing that, you can DM me on my Facebook, and we will send you a link. It is a private event, so we do have to send you, it's on Zoom. So you can watch us from wherever you are in the U.S. and just get some free information.
Okay.
And then after you get the information, you can take it wherever you want to go.
Okay. Awesome. I did not know that.
Yes,
so
sir.
I learned a couple things about you today.
Yeah.
So that's great. So again, man, thanks for coming. I know you're busy.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you taking the time out to sit and chat. And we'll definitely have a part 2, part 3, and a part 4.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I told Brian I'm excited to let him know I finally got you in.
Yeah.
But again, guys, I want to thank Mike for coming out again, and hopefully you'll have some information here that helped you, either motivationally or financially. Like I said, take time to look him up, and you won't be disappointed. So, again, happy Monday to everybody, and thanks for stopping in, and we will see you next time.